But how do you think people got past the auto-tune conversation?
The thing about getting past anything that is emerging is it'll run you over like a truck.
Yeah.
What are you
gonna
do?
Get with it or get behind. Yeah, I got you. We've been using technology to manipulate ourselves for the longest time.
Auto-tune is giving you Chris Brown vocals and some real silky smooth vocals. And here's the thing, Chris Brown can sing, but auto-tune is a part of his sound. It's a tool.
Yo, this is MJ, also known as the AI and Music Plug and the CEO of Lemonade Music. I'm here as always with some legends, but got to start with my partner in crime, Mr. Don Cannon.
Going down, the #1 co-signer, baby.
Yes, sir, #1 co-signer. Do you not have a microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on your. Oh, okay.
I don't
What to say? Man, we got some very special guests with us tonight. We got someone with more Grammys than some of y'all have years alive. Leslie, what's up?
What's up? What's up? Happy to be here.
Anything you want to say about the intro?
That's what it is.
Nah, I'm just happy to be here, man. Let's chop it up. I'm ready.
Okay, let's get it. All right, we got multi-platinum producer OG Parker to my right. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother? How you
A
feeling?
lot of Grammys over there, too.
A lot of Grammys as well. Probably more than y'all have years. We got some young viewers. No, I'm kidding. All right, today we're breaking down a concept that I feel like is being heavily debated right now. Y'all are hip to the AI-generated songs that are happening, right? Especially the diss tracks, like that AI Drake song or like the AI Kendrick song and things like that. I figured we could start maybe the first half of today's discussion just breaking down how that actually happens. Like, how does that song get created? And then we can just get into as many topics as we want from there. So I just want to start off with first a very general question. Y'all all have heard one of those AI-generated Drake songs, right? Like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
Like Heart on My Sleeve is a good example or whatever.
For sure.
I want all y'all to give a take. How do you think that song was made? Let's go.
I hate answering these questions.
Yeah, let's go.
It starts with the actual fans. The fans are impatient now. You know what I mean? So now that they're impatient, they want to write the track for you. They want to help move the process along. Me being a tech nerd, I moved through a lot of AI programs, and I've seen these happening way before. I didn't know it was going to take off this fast. The voice generated, because some of the voices, they weren't quite clear.
Yeah.
But these are like, then somebody call me on the phone with one of them voices, man, I might think you want some beats. Bro.
Yeah.
But
Technology getting better.
Yeah, so I think that's how it was created. Is just the impatience of people. I don't think it has something to do with the machine.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with the fans and how fast they want a response in anything. Not only beef, they just want a response for anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
And I don't think it's actually nothing new. If you look at culture from fandom in general, if you've always seen fan-generated trailers for movies.
Right.
You can go on YouTube and see a gang of trailers for the next Avengers movie.
Yep.
But it'd be fans.
Facts.
So fans always want to participate in the culture of a thing,
Yep.
and it's their way of paying homage, being involved, getting creative, finding stuff that they can use to be creative. So it's really nothing new. It's just new in our world because of AI. But it's always been fan participation, generating trailers and all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also like trying to create something that the fan might never hear. Like, we all know what's going on with like Drake and like this beef and stuff. So like they wanted to make a new Drake and Weeknd song because everybody loves Crew Love.
Facts.
So we
Right.
want to hear another one. So
Right.
like the fans are like, you know what? I'll just make it.
Yeah.
And when you have that ability, you do those kind of things. Like even as a mixer, there are times when I'll mix a record for the client, and then there's a thing I want to do, and I'll mix it. And we've done this before, where I'll be like, I'll be mixing the record that he produced, and I'll be like, okay, this is what we giving the artist, but for our version, let's keep this version. This is the version I ride to.
Yeah, man.
Or when a sample can't get cleared, I've had several situations where I mix a record, and I love how it sounds with the sample. Then we got to do the replay because the sample going to get cleared, and that's what they put out.
Yeah.
But me personally, riding around in my car, I'm playing the sample version.
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like you said, it's that thing for yourself. It's that thing that you want to hear.
Yeah.
So the fans want to hear well, what would Drake sound like this in Kendrick right now?
Right. Okay.
So it's the personal thing. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good breakdown of the why AI generated music happens. But I'm gonna push it a little bit harder. Like technically speaking, y'all are all musicians. So technically, how is that song created?
I've actually been a part of a AI creation where we did this thing. I probably won't name the artist so I don't, get her in trouble, but it is a her. And what we did is we inputted a lot of her acapellas into the computer. The computer just needs a lot of input.
Right.
Analyzes her voice, inflections, da-da-da. And then what we did is we did a bunch of radio drops because she didn't want to sit there and do the radio drops. Like, I am so-and-so and I'm here at WKRP or da-da-da. So we generated a ton of radio drops for said artists.
I definitely need that.
Yeah, and we tried it and it worked perfectly. Nobody could tell it wasn't her.
That's fire.
Sent them out to the radio drops, and we do it for her constantly now. So
Right.
That's dope. That's dope.
And that's exactly right. Oh, go ahead. You got something?
No, that's fire because I know people hate doing all those radio
Yes.
drops and shit. It's so
Yeah,
tedious.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But yeah, I feel like that's an important topic to like demystify because I feel like a lot of people are afraid that like AI is just this random thing that can generate the whole process. But one thing that's important, like Cannon, we were talking about this yesterday, like you wanted to be an architect, but you also are an architect.
Yep.
So when you make songs, like in the modern day, could you describe like who are the roles that are required to make a song? Like the music producer, like what are all the roles that are required?
There's many. There's musicians, there's producers, artists, songwriters. When I was making songs in the early 2000s, there were, what would you call that? An assistant vocal arranger, a vocal arranger, assistant engineer, master. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would even name the sample owners. You know what I mean? The studio.
Right.
The equipment.
Yeah.
They're people too.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all the things that I can remember. Like there's things that change now, like song arrangers, vocal arrangers, beat editors that for people that don't edit beats, all those things.
So you said like 11 to 12 different roles right there.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing.
Just post 2020s though.
Yeah.
Post 20. I mean
pre 2020s, but even in the 2020s, there's still like what you would say like 6 to 8 maybe people. Something like that.
It's a subjective answer. I feel like it's like 4 people now.
Okay.
I feel like, because we made it so easy, it was an engineer, producer, maybe a co-producer and a writer and a rapper.
Okay. So those 4.
Yeah.
Even those 4 though, I think it's important for people to understand that because artists generally understand it. So I feel like this is a good message for artists and more importantly, people who don't make music to understand. Like there's so many different personas that go into music creation, and those Drake AI generated songs, those are just using a vocal swap, to your point. Like people think it's the whole beat was AI generated. They think the mix and mastering was AI generated. They think the lyrics, the lyrics could be AI generated, but honestly for some of these songs, no way, those are AI generated. But it's specifically the vocals that are the AI generated part. So when you think about like that process, that's only 25%. So in my opinion, you absolutely still need to be like a talented musician when you're using these AI tools to actually take it to the next level. You know?
And in the whole conversation of demystifying the fear of AI and people saying, oh my God, the computers are taking over and the robots are taking over, and everything settles in. And so what happens is, I've seen this in so many different phases in my life. I remember when ATM machines were like to my grandparents, oh my God, I'll never bank in an ATM machine. Are you crazy? The government is watching me and all that talk. And it's like, no, it's a tool to make your life better, to make your life easier. And once you set in, all the things that seem mysterious kind of make sense. So I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, you had Inquirer magazine, right? And after a certain point, you knew I would see people in the line. They would be in the line at the checkout, and I would see parents or mothers or somebody pick up a magazine and buy it.
Yeah.
My mom would buy Inquirer. She knew everything she was about to read in that magazine was a lie. It was just entertainment. She didn't believe it. Now, my dad made a statement the other day, and he was like, yes, it's crazy how TMZ is like the new Inquirer. And I was like, no. The difference is TMZ tells the truth. So after a while, we've settled in with a history of, if it's on TMZ, it's actually news. And so you learn to differentiate between fake and real at some point. And the thing that a lot of people fear is, oh, well, it's going to get to a point where you can't tell if it's Drake or not. You'll always be able to tell because there's a certain level of authenticity that will set in and we'll get used to.
Oh,
You won't get to a point where we can't tell. And even on the ones that sound really good, there's still a distinguishing factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like to your point, like certain lyrics could be AI generated, but like the things that they're saying are like specific to like things that they could only know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's talking about things that he knows from behind the scenes or like arguments and stuff like that. So
Yeah, for sure. Have you guys ever used ChatGPT to like generate rap
Oh,
lyrics or
all the
anything?
time. I use it
You know, for real.
let me tell you, I use it to respond to my wife sometimes.
Yo,
Sometimes
this is going on the internet.
she knows. She knows. She know when it's yeah.
I played the date. I
Yeah.
played the date with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'll be like,
But I was
so
gonna
hey
say-
babe, da 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 da.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to your point, like, you know, for fun, I prompted ChatGPT a few times on like bars, like trying to get a 16 out, and it's so bad. Like it's just like one of those, like it'll just say the most, because I mean, as you guys know, like within like these lyrics, if one word just is cheesy, the whole thing is awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like out of the 16, like 14 were so cheesy that it's like, yeah, they rhyme, but like the whole part of the culture is completely missing. You can't just have words that rhyme and call that a rap. You know what I mean? So.
And I think part of the nuance of that, where I don't think AI will ever be able to accomplish this one feat, and I think this is the thing that
let's get it.
distinguishes between humans and machines. In my opinion, a machine will never be able to distinguish when it's the right time to make a bad decision.
Boom.
Leads me to the conversation.
That's good.
Conversation I started earlier. So I'm gonna try not to be long-winded with the story.
Yo, take the breath, bro.
So I'm watching. OJ just passed a few days ago. So I'm watching rewatching the documentary with my wife, the 5-part series, the one that won Oscars, all that stuff. So we're watching it, and we get to the end, and there were parts. To make a long story short, we all know that trial was, yes, it was a murder trial, but it was also a referendum on race in this country. It was about the times. It was about police brutality. It was all this stuff. And some of the jurors were interviewed at the end. And one of the ladies was like, they asked her, was that payback for Rodney King? Because the Rodney King beating had just happened, right before OJ allegedly, murdered those two people. And then there was another incident. There was some incidents they covered in the news in the documentary. And so the interviewer asked her, he said, was that payback for Rodney King? And she was like, yeah. And the other juror made a good point, which is, I don't think anybody in that courtroom really had a doubt that OJ committed those murders. But the reason why, and this is what she was saying, the reason why I voted not guilty and why we all voted not guilty isn't because we didn't think he was guilty. Mm-hmm. It's because the state failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. The state messed up this case, and we had to show how justice needs to work because it hadn't worked for black people for a long time.
Wow.
So they made a decision that they all knew was a wrong decision, but they made it for what they felt like was the right reason.
Wow.
Because there's a bigger justice play at stake. A computer can't do that. Because there's feelings behind.
you're
when
right.
you watch
And
that Rodney
actually-
King video, there's feelings behind that.
Yeah, and I know this is an AI music show, but that's a way bigger topic that, there's a reason why I get, really afraid of the concept of AI in the legal space and, the police space. And there's because if you put that through an AI system, he's going to prison, 10 out of 10 times. You know
the
what I mean?
evidence was overwhelming.
Right.
But like I said, and I was using that to make the point of, that's the difference between AI and humans, is sometimes you have to make a bad decision for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's a thing a computer can distinguish.
And you're right, because, we're going to talk about this topic every time on this show, but the 3 steps of AI is your training data, you're training your model, and you're using that model for predictions. you only should be feeding an AI training data on the right decisions. Because if you're feeding it wrong decisions, you're going to have a useless AI.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, there's no good reason to be feeding an AI bad decisions.
Right. And yet, human-wise, there are some bad decisions that we make.
Okay, this.
You see what I'm saying?
I love that question. It just,
That's what
it
I'm
just
saying.
prompted, like, what song? I feel like all of you probably have a song, like at least one, where a wrong decision was made, but it ended up being the right decision.
Oh, that's called a Tuesday. I think y'all would all agree that
1,000%.
there's a lot of mistakes that end up being great. You highlighted one.
That's my favorite thing
Yeah.
to say. I like, man, the magic come in the mistakes, man.
Yeah.
They just come in the mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the things that I used to do on machines and not in the DAWs allow me to make mistakes that made magical songs. You know what I mean? Even if we were in there and somebody was writing and they said the wrong word, it was like, no, keep that. He was like, nah, that's whack, man, that's that. I said, that was the magic. That was the first thing you heard. So it's a lot of those things happen, and through all my production, all the way up until the later Uzi stuff, the Jack stuff, it's all mistakes, bro. It's all magic. It's stuff that wasn't supposed to happen.
Is there a moment one of y'all can pull out of like when a mistake actually turned into something that like we would know to this day? Like I remember, I'll go, not me, but for Boy Wonder has this cool story, and as I'm telling it, you guys think if there is anything. But I think when Boy Wonder did, what was it, Mob Ties for Drake? One of his 808 patterns, it like went over the grid.
Yeah, I seen that.
And it was because he was on his laptop and he tripped over the wire, and it like did that, you know what I mean? And so instead of like hitting perfectly, there was that one extra one.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that song, like the 808 pattern is what makes it so different. Like I've never heard a song like that. And it
Yeah, he
always
like
stuck with
actually
me.
leaned on a MIDI keyboard.
Yeah, that's what it
He leaned
was.
on a MIDI keyboard, and it like
Yeah, right.
And it was like, oh,
And when you think of the roots of, like, most music today is driven by hip hop.
Right.
When you think of the roots of hip hop, where hip hop started from people with low means, and we were trying to bring this turntable back, or make this cassette deck sync up with this cassette deck, and it was all terrible equipment that made a beautiful sound. So the part of the foundation of hip hop is, I can't tell you how many arguments I done got into with world famous engineers that be like, man, you gotta tune your drums. And I'm like, we don't tune drums in hip hop. We make it sloppy. We know the 808 is out of tune with the so-and-so. We know
Wow.
the kick and the 808 ain't playing the same note, and it's rubbing a little bit, but it's funky. And it got a thing to it. It got a sauce to it.
Yeah.
All those imperfections, it's about feel. It ain't about, I can't tell you how many records I done mixed that were distorted, but they felt amazing. And I would run with the distortion. Babyface sang flat notes all his career, and all those songs were amazing. You listen to a Babyface album, the whole album he's singing flat. Bob Marley sang flat notes. You can hear flat notes in a lot of Bob Marley records. Those are some of the most prominent records to date. So perfection is just not, that's not the thing. And that's the, like you feed it the information of what the right thing is to do.
Right.
It's going to do the right thing. And the wrong thing sometimes just feels so good.
Yeah.
How many times you made a beat and it quit and you made it over and it was better? You know what I'm
If that
saying?
shit fuck up, you know how like FL would just quit?
Yeah.
Man, I'll make something new.
Yeah. And probably make something dope.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because like even with like Loyal by Party Next Door, my homie was just like, yo, what's that synth sound that you be doing? I was like, I made it from scratch on Omnisphere. And I showed it. I was like, this is how I did it. And then he just played a random chord progression. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of fire. And we just made a beat. And I never would have thought Drake would have got on it and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of just like to his point, it's kind of just like random. We kind of just like, everything's an accident. Like to be honest, with music, it's like, it's all just random.
Yeah.
Mistakes.
Play around with samples, come up with a thing. The Canon joint is crazy, but
Yeah, because when I was remaking it on the show, it actually,
I remember that, yeah.
there was some mistakes, and I was like, damn, I wish that would happen then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it just, I live for that though. I live
Yeah.
for the magic and the mistakes in it, because when it's too regimented and like quantized and everything, it's like, sometimes artists go in there and I have them do retakes over and over again because, some of the voices are awesome, but their takes are wrong. But sometimes the wrong takes are great.
Feels great.
Yeah.
So I'll be like,
That's right.
let's rock it. You know what I'm saying? So
Because I feel like even in rap, there's some bars that are just slightly off. But because it was off is why everyone says it to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I fought this for like the past 4 years because people were rapping off beat. And I felt like, get on beat.
Yeah.
But then I realized like, oh,
That's their thing.
that's the bounce.
I remember the first time the first time he brought me a Uzi record to mix. I called you and I was like, "Yo, can I slide these vocals? Can I put these vocals in pocket, please?" And he was like, "Man, you're young and like it like that." I was like, "All right."
Yeah,
but
you gotta keep it like
that.
Yeah.
A diamond single later.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like, isn't that magic? I fought it for years though. Like I got a story that nobody knows. Like back in the day when Tony Montana came out, I had a chance to mix it when he first did it. And I did it and sent them back to them and they hated it. And they like get somebody else to mix and I couldn't figure out why. And then it was like, yo, you put the vocals on beat. And I was very East Coast with it. And I was like, oh,
you
that's why
slid
I
it
was-
over?
Put it in the pocket,
I like
yeah.
put it on beat.
Oh.
And, you know,
And they hated that. Yeah, that's why they
hated
didn't like
it.
yeah.
Can't
I
stand
hated
it.
I
Yeah.
was like, I couldn't understand, but that was like, man, I gotta get out my East Coast mind. I'm so like this, like having it.
Right.
And it was just that Southern bounce that made that song what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed the opportunity, but I learned from it the most, and that's what I liked about it the most.
Yeah. Well, I think that's perfect because the beginning topic of how did that AI Drake song get generated? I think we like already demystified a lot of that, right? Because like number one, it was just the vocal. Number two, there's a lot of imperfection that goes into music, and like I actually brought a surprise for y'all.
What is this?
Let me get this set up. We gonna do something live together.
As long as I ain't gotta make no beat.
Yo, you already did that. We're putting everyone on the spot with this one.
This is can you tell if it's AI or not?
No, so this is just a cool experiment. So I was earlier today just trying to think through how do we help our audience understand this topic? Because I actually think because all of us have opened up a digital audio workstation, we can get it, but it's still a little abstract for people to understand if you haven't made music before.
Gotcha.
So I feel like this was a cool example because vocal AI is a big deal right now. You know, like that vocal swapping that we've been talking about. And I feel like it's a scary one for too many reasons. But before getting into that, this is actually a tool by someone named Grimes. So Grimes is a singer, you know,
I know Grimes.
and, I'm not as hip to her, but what I am definitely hip to is she open sourced her voice. And open source meaning it's completely free for anyone to use, right?
That's deep.
Sorry, let me take a step back. It's open source from an accessibility perspective, but there is a licensing restriction on using her voice.
Right.
Right. So if you use her voice, she gets 50% of the master recording.
Yes.
But I just want to show y'all real quick.
And it's genius.
It is, but let me just show y'all real quick.
That's kind of dope.
And this audio is recording, so we'll be able to put this on the clip. So this, in this tool, all you gotta do is hit this create button, and let me hit start over. So you can record or upload, right? So I'm gonna upload this, and I don't know why, but my boo was stuck in my head earlier today.
There's always that one person that will always have your heart.
Right? We all know that's Usher. It's that Transform. And honestly, shout out to them on this technology. I'm impressed with how quick this is doing this actually in real time. Because the typical way you'd have to do this is through something called like a collab notebook, which is essentially it's like a data scientist version of a DAW. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in real time, this was just created. Let's see.
There's always that one person that will always have your heart.
So real quick,
You never see it coming 'cause you're blinded from the start. Know that you're that one for me. It's Quivo.
so when you hear that, like obviously it's not perfect, but I don't know. What did y'all think of it?
I
That
like
was
it.
crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I like the
That was
concept. I like the concept that Grimes came up with, and I like the fact that that's showing that we can embrace it
Right.
and use it as a tool, and it's fun. And I don't think all the whole oh my God, it's gonna take over everything and it's gonna ruin music. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe in the fun aspect of it, and it's a tool that adds because then you can do some elaborate backgrounds, and you don't need to, you know. So it changes the dynamic, but everything changes. So what I'm saying is, people then go to the conversation of, oh, well, if you could replace the background singers, all of a sudden people are out of jobs.
Right.
They just got to create new ones or find new ones.
Right,
That's how the world
on
works.
that exact point, I actually wanted to try something even bolder. I'm gonna put one of y'all on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Can one of you sing that first
He's
couple
the
words?
best singer in the room.
Facts.
I can't carry a note.
All right, all I want you to say is there's no way.
No.
Someone's got to do it.
I'm so
man.
out of tune.
All right,
We
get
might
it,
need to
get
sub.
it.
Sub.
All right.
No, I'm out of tune.
All right.
I'm
What do y'all-
terrible.
I ain't gonna hit that note.
All right,
I'm not.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I mix records for a reason.
All right, everyone cut.
I can rap
Okay.
it.
Yo, I can't believe I'm
The
doing
rap
this.
version.
There's always been that person. Da, 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 da.
You got to know the words, bro.
No, but it doesn't matter. I'm trying to prove a point.
It's just getting the
This
texture
is,
of your
how much
voice.
this is how much I'm trying to prove a point. I cannot believe I did that. All right, so I'm gonna push transform.
Wait, so record it through the mic?
Yeah.
That's
So
dope.
now, just listen to this now.
Yo, I can't believe I'm doing this. There's always been that person. Da, 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 da. I know, there's that.
Yeah. No, hold on. Do you see the difference between that first take, like Usher's take, and my take?
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you had a better mic and was taking it seriously and wasn't giggling, it would come out a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't. So I'm gonna close the laptop now. I think that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
But that's like my point that I love about this whole AI conversation is you still need talent to make it work.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like I actually could have never made that vocal work as well as Usher could. And like that's the only reason Grimes' vocal sounded good on it because Usher had talent to make it sound good. Obviously for you as a mixing engineer, you could probably take my vocals, put auto-tune on it and do all these things to make it work.
Yeah.
But that's still talent. Like these are like
Talent still is
all I'm
involved.
trying to get
Yeah.
at, like these randos that are trying to say anyone can generate AI music. It's not true. The reason why you like that AI Drake remix was because Ghostwriter was a talented artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are talented artists that made the bars. They actually, like as you saw that process, they actually went as far as the enunciation to sound like Kendrick, to sound like Drake. So to me, as scary and as sad as like the AI music world can feel sometimes, I'm excited about the people that are still actually artists that are using AI to do like amazing projects. So anyways, I figure that demo can kind of like showcase the difference
that
between
was
like,
crazy. I got a question though.
yeah.
After that's done, how is paperwork done?
Yeah, so honestly, I was trying to go through the
Like,
tool
how
today.
how you do splits? How
Yeah.
do you, like.
So first, I think
I'm gonna just give her 50.
Yeah,
What do I give
no.
her?
So I stumbled
Handshake,
upon
You know what I'm saying?
I stumbled upon the tool today, and I feel like a lot more artists should get hip to it because I don't know how much Grimes is made on it. That's probably something we should look up at some point. But first, can someone explain the impact of owning 50% of a master recording, so people are on the same page?
I mean, for me, I'm an anti for those things. For
Yeah.
words, I'm anti paperwork. I hate that.
Yeah.
One. I think it's bad English, it's bad math. I always say that all the time.
Yeah.
So I've said people have 50% ownership or 100% ownership and never got paid nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really, truly can't give you my opinion on it based on that.
Yeah.
I know people that are in pub deals haven't seen a pub deal past their advance.
Right.
That haven't seen royalty, a statement in royalty, haven't made money off of it. So you having 50% of the master means what? That's what I was asking. How do you?
So to
you know what I'm
Cannon's
saying?
point, Cannon's point, I have this conversation all the time. He's essentially saying the same thing I say, which is ownership is relative. It's a term, but it's relative. So for instance, everybody who thinks they own their home, don't pay your property tax and see what happens.
True.
You don't own your home.
True.
Yeah.
You own the right to occupy your home.
Right.
You don't own the home.
That's
Yeah.
real.
Because the minute you don't pay the property tax, they take your home.
Yeah.
So that means you don't own the home. You own the right to occupy the home. When you understand ownership, it takes a different seat in your
Yeah.
brain.
Right.
So same thing he's saying with a song. You own rights to the song, but the problem is we don't have access to the infrastructure that controls the payouts.
The payouts, right? Yeah.
So you could own all you want.
Okay.
But if you don't have access to, well, what does this ownership translate to?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because even with this tool, the process was, I just stumbled upon it today, and I was like, all right, let me just try to go through the form, and you submit your artist name, you submit your Spotify link, you type in the song name, and I think you're supposed to submit it. I don't know if they're connected to a DSP or something like that, but essentially you want to submit it through the tool. And the interesting part was, like, I just think there's so much to discuss on just why and like the pros and cons of Grimes doing this. Because the crazy part is we could have just downloaded that file without going through the submitting process. But I think the way that she went about it is just cool because, like, clearly she's not in this just to make money.
No, what Grimes is doing.
There's a point.
What Grimes is doing is she's trying to demystify the whole thing. She's literally saying, "Hey, y'all, this is not that scary.
Right.
Let's go,
Yeah.
and we'll figure it out as we go." She's not saying, "I have all the answers and I know how to do this."
Right.
What she's saying is, "Let's try this and see if this works, and then see how we like this, and then let's iterate and
Right.
da da da."
But it's gonna get tricky when you sing your own lyrics, not my boo lyrics, and then you record it, you export it, you pitch it down 2 semitones. She's not even gonna know that's what you did with it. It's just gonna sound like a random vocal.
Right,
So
for
then
sure.
it, like, you know what I'm saying, that's gonna get really tricky.
And that's been happening for ages. How many times?
Yeah,
how many times
yeah.
a songwriter will tell you, "Man, all I did was, X, Y, and Z." I saw a meme the other day where somebody was saying, "There's 3 components to make any song a sad song. You slow it down, you put it in a minor key, and then you make it in past tense." And it was like,
Yeah,
so it's
that's
tools
it.
like that where,
Real.
yeah, and he did "Happy" by Pharrell.
Oh, wow.
And he slowed it down, put
Yeah.
it in a minor key, and made it in past tense. It sounded like the saddest song you ever heard in your life. It was wild. So
switching, yeah.
people been doing all those things since the beginning of time.
Right.
Songwriters been copying from an idea they heard and going, "Ooh, let me slow that down and make this melody like that melody." None of that is new.
Yeah,
Right.
to his point, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see somebody do that and slow it all the way down.
And like not even, no one even realizes it's an
Yeah.
actual artist.
And well, she doesn't realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't give me my 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we in court. Then we in
So
court.
now
Yeah.
she's gonna be like, oh, let me figure that one.
Yeah,
out.
Right. yeah.
Or she might let it slide. She might be
Yeah,
artistic.
I think based on what she did with her voice, I think she's the kind to let it slide right now. But let's almost pretend the world tightens up and the platforms do get good enough where you could train a voice model on yourself and you could get royalties on your voice. And let's pretend like all of us can sing quite well. Because none of y'all came off mute earlier to prove that you could.
Right.
So I embarrassed myself I'm kidding, for the good of AI, But if you guys had a voice that you feel like other people would want to use, would you train a voice model on yourself and allow others to use it? Again, assuming that the systems got tightened up and like you actually did get your royalty checks.
I'm the yes guy. I love technology. I'm
Yeah.
down to try everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would do it. There's certain parts of my career that I would love it to stay in the past. Like I would love for them to use my vocals for certain things, but for mixtape drops and stuff, I wouldn't, because that's a part of my life that I did in that space,
Right.
and I don't want to get back. It's just like almost if I was young, I was smoking weed. I'm off that. I don't want to go revisit smoking weed again.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would love
that's
it, like
interesting, yeah.
in certain things. If they're doing ad libs in a record, cool.
Right.
If they using me for an intro or they're scratching my vocals, cool.
Yeah.
But if we're doing like full artist mixtape and I'm like giving you the canon voice and all that, like I may kind of want to dissolve that.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part
yeah.
of it. You know what I mean? Like that's something that I was happy about that era, but that was an era.
Well, that's the best part about AI from that perspective, because like if you wanted to train your own voice model right now, it's actually quite easy. It sounds like you did it yourself, and I think someone did train a voice model for you in the group text. I was hearing some messages, but it's an easy process, right? Because all you got to do is take a song. If you don't have the stems, run it through a stem splitter, get the vocals, and all you need is like 10 minutes of relatively high quality audio, which honestly, if you just strip this podcast, anyone can train a voice model off of us. But I guess my point is, if it was for you getting royalties for like the new version of yourself, you could just train one now on like the characteristics of like your new life, and that's what the AI model could be used for.
One thing that's going to help us is when we get to doing whoever the new Bad Bunny is, and whoever the new Arabian artist is,
Yeah.
whoever the new Italian, Swedish artist is, we'll be able to take our songs, run it through, change the language, and send a reference to that person. Those are the things where I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to be in, Amsterdam or where I am and be like, hey, I have a reference for, the Spanish
It's like
community,
anything
what I
else
mean?
in life. The things that we are scared of, that we don't understand fully, if we understand how to use them as a tool, it becomes super useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could name any aspect of technology. Flight. When they first invented airplanes, there were a ton of people scared to get on them.
Right.
And we figured out how to perfect it somewhat. And then it's a tool now to get us from one place to the next. And what most people don't know, who will sit there and tell you, this is the funniest conversation. The anti-AI people
Yeah.
who will be like, oh, I ain't getting in no Tesla. I ain't gonna let no car drive me by itself. What you think happens when you get on a plane? A plane flies itself.
Right.
The pilot is there to do things when things start failing. But just in general, a typical flight, I promise you, a plane flies. I've taken flight lessons. A plane flies itself.
Yeah.
Plane lands itself.
Right. It's almost
all
like
of the above.
the less you know, the better.
Yeah.
And sometimes the more you know, the more you're afraid until you know enough,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, it's actually
So it's
not
about
that bad.
when you're educated on the process and then you understand how to use the process. The main thing for me is once people always figure out, how do I use this thing as a tool,
Right. So
we'll be off to the races.
that's a good question for you specifically, because we're talking about how you met Michael Jackson and just so many legends. So you've been in the industry long enough to see so many musical changes, or not musical changes, but changes in the music industry with tooling and things of that nature. Like, I feel like as a third party, like not as deep in the industry, when I observe the reaction to AI in music, it feels bigger than things that have happened before. Would you agree?
It feels the
disagree?
same. It
Okay.
feels the same to me. And that's what I'm saying is I take the music thing out of it and I just look at life.
Right.
When I give you a perfect example in the music conversation. When we were transitioning from vinyl and tapes to CDs, the conversation you always heard was, oh, the CDs don't sound good enough. I'm gonna always use vinyl and da-da-da. It's the
Right.
most inconvenient thing in the world to have vinyl. It's still fun
Wow.
from a music perspective and, scratch and da-da-da, but you're not gonna have vinyl in your car. You're not gonna have a bunch of cassettes in your car. And when we move from CDs to MP3s and to MP, but what happens is the thing we move to always improves. That's the thing that people don't leave room for. So they go, oh, we went from CDs to MP3s and the MP3 sounds terrible. Yeah, they sounded terrible when we first got into MP3s.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then we got MP4s and then we got high quality waves and we got stuff that sounds a little better now. But that technology is still dope because every song I ever want to hear is right here in my hand.
Right.
As
I did
opposed
not
to
see
carrying
that coming.
around that little book that you got to flip in your car.
Right.
I did not see that coming. Just being able to have
Yeah.
over 20 million songs right there.
But it was the thing everybody was complaining about when it
Yeah.
first happened. It was like the biggest, oh my God, we can't do this. This is going to ruin music. I've seen all these same reactions.
Right.
Yeah, it
This
was
is
a
gonna
reaction
ruin
when I was
everything.
when I did Serato. Like,
It's
when I
gonna
was
ruin
DJing, I
everything.
was carrying records up steps like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I would have to have people help me carry records. The minute Serato came out, I was bashed. It was like, you using a computer to DJ? What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying?
And now it's
so
the way.
now it's the wave. So,
But you still got to have the talent. You still got to have the
How
talent.
did you push through that season though, of when you're getting all that hate from others because you're a pioneer
Just
using the latest technology?
There's two things in my mind. It either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I don't have no in between. So if
Yeah.
I'm working and I'm DJing, I'm doing good, cool. If it's not working and it was a fad, it was a fad. I do that with every piece of equipment. I have VSTs that I've used and then people got on them and I can't use them no more, cool.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. I got things that I created that stayed there. I got
Right.
drum patterns that can't be recreated. It's just things like that. Like I'll just fight through the season. I'm not sure everybody else can do that, but again, it works or it doesn't. It's no gray area.
And I have a
Right.
rule of thumb. So this is my rule of thumb, and I came up with this rule of thumb somewhere around when 3D glasses had came up with the 3D TV. Remember when that was a thing for a minute?
Yeah.
My rule of thumb is whenever there's new technology, and this is in music, this is in film, in life, ATM machines, any aspect of something brand new. If it requires too much from the consumer, it's probably going to fail. The less it requires from the consumer, the more chance it has to survive. So what I mean by that is, let's go with all the examples I just named. An ATM machine required less of the consumer. You don't have to get out your car, You don't have to fill out a deposit slip. You got a little card, you stick it in the machine. 3D glasses, the TVs at home, required too much of the consumer. Now I gotta have 4 pairs of glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We ain't gonna be able to, we can't even find a remote half the time.
Right.
Now we gotta find these glasses. Now we gotta put them on. Now we gotta go only to 3D TV. That was gonna fail. I said it when they first started trying to push that technology.
Yeah.
It requires too much of the consumer.
Right.
So my rule of thumb is when it doesn't require a lot from the consumer, it's gonna win.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Are there any AI tools that you guys have used so far that you feel like hasn't required too much from you and it's brought you value, like in your production or your mixing?
Yeah.
The radio
I've
drops.
seen like I've seen songwriters like use it to like, okay, I want to make a song about this, and then like take the lyrics and kind of like make them their own. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just like a helping.
It's a tool.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You don't
change that word that's
exactly
off, but
because
now-
like you said, yeah, some words are gonna be corny and this and that, but like you can get like, okay, oh that was a cool idea right there.
Right, right.
Stems. You use stems?
No, I ain't used
You
it.
ain't use stems yet? Yeah.
Stems are amazing.
Yes, I mean, steps is
You
probably
don't sample that much though, right?
Man, I used to. I haven't sampled in a minute though,
Yeah,
man.
so that's
'cause,
why, like,
yeah.
you know, the stems is like.
I'll take some
That's next level.
I'll take some
I
snares
remember when
now.
we
though.
first got on
Trust
it, we
me.
was calling each other
I
like,
said I'll
yo.
take some snares now or something like that. Though. Like if it's the right song, you know. Yeah, trust me, I've definitely done that, but not often.
I think that's probably one of the best examples so far in the AI space of that, what you were just saying, of like making it convenient enough for someone to need it, but you're not requiring too much, you know? Because even I was training a couple other bottles that I realized were too powerful for this episode. So I'm like, I don't want to give the keys for people to understand how to train a Drake voice model, because there's so many implications on that of like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. But in order to do it, I had to run so many songs through a stem splitter, and the fact that it was able to give me vocals that quick, and just the vocals,
It's amazing.
that were clean enough that I can do whatever I want with them was crazy.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that many times. It's just like the stuff you guys used to have to do just to isolate sounds or whatnot.
And like I said, when you train your mind to understand what artificial intelligence is, the reason why it's gonna be here, it's because it's been here. Everybody hasn't really accepted the fact that it's been here. Planes been flying themselves.
Well, even like, let's take everyone to school, right? So that concept of machine learning, it's been around for like since 2000s, maybe 1990s. I don't even know, like way back. And then just so everyone really knows, ChatGPT, the T stands for transformer. Transformer was invented by Google in 2017, and Google open sourced it. You know what I mean? So the thing that everyone is like so hyped about right now, the foundational technology has existed since 2017.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So this isn't like a brand new thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For the tools, I'm gonna ask y'all a question.
Yeah.
For somebody that plays or knows how to play in some fashion, right? Would you use a melody generator?
Man, maybe because I don't play guitar, so I might be like,
I got
yeah,
code for you.
I need it. Look,
He said, maybe.
I might play some keys and be like, you know what? I wonder what this sound like as a guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe just to see how that
But
switches
you
out
would
the
play
vibes.
in there and change
Yeah,
it to
yeah,
guitar.
exactly, yeah.
I got you. Okay. And would you use a mix AI?
You know, I've
You're a purist. So I need to have the real.
you know what's a trip? I remember when Lander first came out, and when you could upload your joint and it come back sounding like a little bit of a master. I wasn't mad at it. So I'm just saying, I kind of would. Is all I'm saying. I kind of would.
On
Yeah.
that similar topic, would you, let's say one of your artists decided they wanted to start using a vocal AI, so they're not recording anymore? They're just like, I'm too busy. Take my AI vocals and mix it. Would you be happy with that? Or like, how would you feel about it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My thing is, as long as we get to the result, and as long as we get a good result,
Yeah.
we can figure it out. Now, it probably won't be perfect at first. It might take some tweaking. It might take, but you know, for some artists, that might actually work out better.
Yeah,
because some of them,
probably
you
the
know,
most helpful story I've heard on that front is I have a friend who's a producer in Germany, and he had gone to Amsterdam to work with this rap artist, and I guess that rap artist, I don't know how they didn't realize it in the session, but he messed up an entire line, and they had already flown home, and they were like, all right, we're not going to fly back together just to fix this. Are we going to wait a couple weeks, or what are we going to do? And he actually trained this man's voice, and he punched in that one bar, and they released the song.
Man,
I was
some
like,
of-
that's a
some
good
of-
use. That's
some
a good
of-
use. I'm like, okay.
Some of the rappers I work with, and he knows who I'm talking about. If you saw how I had to sit and chop their vocals, we call it surgery.
Yeah.
And if I can get an AI model to spit out that same verse, and I don't have to sit there and chop every word and nudge every word, so that this particular artist feels in pocket, because this particular artist can't get in pocket.
And that's another great point, because I think, again, just the general consumer who doesn't know much about music, they might think when an artist gets into the booth, it's a one take.
No.
Like, can you explain that process more? Like, what is it typically like? when
Sometimes
artists are
it is,
recording?
and then sometimes they do a million takes, and we got to sit there and pick it apart. Or sometimes they do one take, but like I said, they can't get the cadence right, and then we have to sit there and chop each word and put them on beat.
Right.
Move each word on beat to where they flow a whole lot better.
It brought me to a point. I might start using this because this is one pain point that I've had over the past maybe 10 years of artists and their voices changing over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I may be able to, just in the conversation, I may be able to AI the original voice that they're trying to get back to.
Yes.
And play it for them and have them train themselves into that voice again.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of artists that do that. Man, why can't I sound like I did on my first album?
Yeah.
That was a different swag.
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
You know what I'm saying?
Is that a common thing people go
Yeah,
through?
so
oh, yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
people. A lot of
That's
people want
cool.
to be in that space where they can't get back to. It's not the swag thing of it, where it's like they're not doing the same bop. It's more like my voice changed.
Yeah.
You know,
They
some
still have the
people-
talent, they just don't have the ability.
Yeah.
So we
Voices
saw it with
changed.
Whitney Houston. We've seen it with Mariah right now, where Mariah can't get to that scream note.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
can't get there right now.
So it's been
but she
30
still has the
years,
talent. She
35
can
years.
still sing.
Yeah.
Same thing with Whitney.
Yeah.
Whitney towards the end of her life, she couldn't hit some of those notes. We all know why, but
Yeah.
she just couldn't hit some of those.
Yeah,
notes.
the voices changed, and,
Yeah.
I'm like almost like, oh shit, I can use this now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in that mode, because people trying to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I think that's an interesting one because I feel like out of all AI applications within music, voice would scare me the most because once you lose like your voice to an AI model, there's so much that could go wrong. But I like that from like what could go right perspective, especially if you're an artist that just wants to make more of your own music. Like you're not screwing anybody over. That's your data that you're making your own music with, and you're making your fans happier. And as a result, hopefully you can make more money too.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a great situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always say with everything, man, like as much as you can think of with all the naysayers, right? With all the
Yeah.
people who could think of all the things that can go wrong,
Right.
that glass also can be half full. Period.
Yeah.
And the same references
It's just
I keep
outlook on life,
same references I keep using. Every time you sit on an aircraft, there's a million things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But what we do is we're hoping and praying and all of those things and expecting it to go right.
Yeah.
We think we get into the next destination.
Right.
There's a bunch of shit that can go wrong.
Yeah, so AI's been taking care of our lives for years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you're right because I think that's a big reason why I wanted to ask about that, like mixing and recording process of what have they been doing for the longest time? Because we've been using technology to manipulate ourselves for the longest time. It's just the fact that AI is called artificial intelligence. It makes it seem like it's doing an extra level of manipulation.
Auto-tune-
It's powerful, exactly.
Auto-tune is
It's powerful
artificial
technology.
intelligence.
Right.
Auto-tune is giving you
It's
some
it's
Chris Brown
algorithms,
vocals and some real silky smooth vocals and here's the thing, Chris Brown can sing, but auto-tune is a part of his sound.
Remember that?
So it's
Remember
a tool.
this example? Exactly.
It's a tool. And he's still making hit records.
Right.
Yeah.
He ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere.
My favorite thing was when T-Pain took off auto-tune and blew everyone's mind with how
He can
well he
sing.
can sing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it goes back to that original concept. You can only manipulate so much,
Absolutely.
but you gotta have a good source, and
Absolutely.
that's where a true
Yeah, it's
artist
a guitar and a
can't be
guitar amp,
replaced.
bro. Let it go.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
even before T-Pain used it, Cher used auto-tune.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she can sing. So it's like, again, people need to
Auto-tune's
just...
a funny point because, like, I feel like everyone that's hating on AI probably are the same people that hate on auto-tune. But how do you think people got past the auto-tune conversation? You know, 'cause
The thing about getting past anything that is emerging is it'll run you over like a truck.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
get with
do?
or get behind. Yeah, I got you.
What are you gonna do?
Right. I mean,
If you anti-technology, what you gonna do? Take a bus everywhere? No, at some point you're gonna have to fly.
yeah.
Or you just ain't going to Greece, or you just ain't going to certain places.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like that's what I'm saying. That mentality will keep you at a certain place.
Right.
But you know, at some point, what you gonna do? Keep fighting auto-tune when we got great records that have been made with auto-tune? We got some really great records, like
Totally. Right.
So.
So for you, have you not used too many AI tools yet in your production?
Not really in production, like
Okay.
not recently, but like you said, stuff like Lander, I feel like people been using that for years.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying, just mastering your record, like, so I don't see the difference. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
So
same.
let's say you had a melody generator that gave you a 4-bar loop and you put it in your track. Would you feel proud of that song that you produced?
Yeah, it's the same thing as Splice. Same thing as Arcade.
Told
Same
you.
thing as,
Told
you know what
you.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
I use all that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll take a vocal melody and play keys over that. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah. So it's the same. It's the same point I keep making.
I gotta pause on this point.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Because look at this man. He's got ice for a reason. Like, if the cameras can zoom in. And I want all those people that are saying you're not a real artist if you use AI in your music.
Yeah.
Man.
He's the real cheat code.
Multi-platinum.
Real
Like
cheat code.
every
Yeah.
of your favorite artists, this man's probably produced a
Yeah,
song
cheat
for.
code.
And
Yeah.
did you hear what he just said? You
And
know what
it's
I
the
mean?
same point I keep making, which is your language determines how you think. So if we are treating AI as if it's a new thing, we've been using AI.
That's true, right? Siri, Alexa, Teslas, we talked
We've
about
been
this.
on it.
Right.
Yeah. So all the people who are supposedly anti-AI, they use it heavily.
Yeah.
They depend on it heavily.
true.
They just wasn't calling it AI.
Right.
They were calling it Siri.
Right here.
And all the other tools to chop up.
Yeah,
X1.
they created like a cute human
calling
name
it
for
different
it. So
things.
it like, yeah.
Autopilot.
Right.
That's AI.
Yeah.
Literally, the plane just be on a button and
Yeah.
it flies itself. That's
Yep.
artificial intelligence.
Right.
It knows when we hear this, we got to do this with the wing flap and bring the plane down. Sorry, I'm fascinated with flight, and I know
No,
a lot
I mean,
about
bro.
flight, so I always use that reference. But
No, it's great.
that's AI.
Because I think you asked me this on Monday or Tuesday. It's been a long week. On Tuesday, you asked, why are people so afraid of AI? And I think people are just simply afraid of the things they don't know how it works, when they don't know how it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the flight examples are great, because we have been doing this stuff for the longest time.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah, and then you get in your head. It's so funny. I always tell people always ask me why I don't like artists being in the studio with me when I'm mixing.
Yeah.
And I always use this analogy, like if you went when they service your car and you seen what they do to your car when they service your car. Like for instance, most times you take your car to service, they literally have to take your door off to get to certain mechanics in the thing. If you saw that, when the minute you get back your car from service, you're gonna be like,
Yeah. I would trust that at
door
all.
works,
Right.
you're gonna be like, is my door good?
Yeah.
You're gonna be in your head about it. So that's what I'm saying. And sometimes if your mind isn't set up to understand it, you might not need to know how all of it works.
Right.
Yeah.
If people really saw how planes fly, some people won't get back on a plane.
Right.
Some people will be like, for real? That man just sat there the whole time?
You're right.
So this is kind of switching gears for a second, but something that I've been kind of brewing on of like, is this technology that's worth building, but also just want to get y'all's take on it, is that's why you should watch this show. There's probably like multiple $10 million ideas that are being discussed. That if you're an engineer, just watch this for like 5 minutes and you'll be good. Spotify just created this new feature where the artist or the listener can speed up your track, and almost, I don't know how the technology works or like how the logistics work, but you can essentially submit that track to be uploaded. So like imagine like, you know, any Drake song or whatever, it's at 2x speed. On TikTok, those songs were blowing up when it was either 2x or like slowed down because people liked it that way. But now Spotify is actually allowing you as a listener to manipulate the artist's song, and under the artist profile, that song can be there now. So if the song blows up, let's say it's like Marvin's Room, then Marvin's Room 2x, that could be Drake's #1 song right
And you
now.
know why
he
they're
gets
doing that, right?
Go ahead.
There's a specific reason why they're doing that.
I may not know. Go ahead.
Specific reason, which it comes down to the basis of AI. They need input
Right.
from their consumers. Do more people prefer this sped up? If we get this one song and it's always sped up to this, maybe that's the tempo that's most pleasing to people. It's all data.
Right.
It's learning.
Totally.
The more you can learn about your consumer, the more power you give your consumer, the more
Right.
you learn about their habits.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. The
That's a
minute
good
you
point.
give them control, you're learning what they like. What do they
Wow.
want to manipulate?
Yeah.
They like stuff at this speed. Then they run the numbers. And if the speed that most people speed a song up to is 92 beats per minute, so that's
Right.
all it is. It's data collection.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, they're just trying to learn.
Yeah, I was
Trying to
doing
learn the
data
artist.
early DJing. I sped
Yeah.
up all the records.
Right.
And I realized people liked them. I just stayed
Yeah,
there.
just
So
more
then you stay
upbeat, more fun, more
That's what
like
you do. You
danceable.
collect data as you. That's a good DJ. You see the floor. You're collecting data the
Yep.
whole time.
Yep.
Ooh.
So
when I
outside
put
of
this
the-
on, they dance.
Outside of the data angle, as an artist, would y'all feel happy that the song that blew up was the 2X version, not the one that you chose to create?
It's a song, bro. It's the idea.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
think
mean?
most artists. Yeah, I think most artists would.
What was that?
I think most artists would. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, most artists are about success. I do know there are some artists who they're married too much to the art, the way
Right,
they
exactly.
created it.
Right.
But I think that's a small number. I think most artists
Right.
would
Like,
like.
because most artists may see their music as a business, and if it's doing well, then
most artists want
know.
the diamond plaque.
yeah.
The number one thing in all of that is getting the consumer to like it.
Yeah.
Any way it comes. This is what, as long as you like it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not about
yeah.
to sit there and argue with you like, why y'all ain't like the original version? Y'all like
Yeah.
this version? We did remixes forever
Yeah.
because of that. Oh, they didn't really like that. Oh, they love the remix. The same song, couple changes.
Facts.
So it's like we have to have that. Like, you know, I'm not.
So
tripping
you
on
would
it.
be open to
Yeah,
fans
make a acapella,
interacting
make
with
an
your
instrumental,
music.
Screw
Cool.
it up.
Absolutely.
Speed it up, man. Drill version.
Drill version, because you get
bro.
to you get to see what they
do it
like.
all, bro.
That's
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, it stems from one
Yeah.
idea.
That I see as like a really cool feature of AI in music when that's pulled off, because like to your exact point, Pharrell, but with the happy song, but with minor chords and a different BPM. I feel like that could be a vibe. And like if I'm driving at like 2 a.m. and just want to listen to some sad Pharrell, I'm like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yes,
cool.
the sad happy is wow. It's
Sad
like
happy.
yeah.
You got to have substance, but once you give the people substance and they tweak it in whatever way and they're happy, I think that's a great situation.
they're just showing you
But
what they
can't-
like.
No
Yeah.
matter what, the substance has to be good, because if you speed up or slow down garbage, like it's just fast or slow garbage.
Now,
You know
there's
what I mean?
instances of that though. There's instances where garbage was sped up and became golden
Oh.
works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On TikTok and stuff.
It's happened. There's songs that were terrible.
And even if you go back to the
That's cool.
If you go back to the essence
cool.
of sampling, like there are
Right.
some samples when you get the original record, it sound real boring, and you speed that thing up and put some hard drums on it, you're like, yo,
1,000%.
you know. So it'd be
Yeah.
some head
So we
knocking.
have time a lot of melodies and
Yeah,
stuff
of
like
course,
that
right.
because the original thing was infectious, but we made it more infectious.
Even
Right.
the way
I
you
have
chop
time.
that the way you chop that Canon sample, the original record, I hated that record. That record is terrible. Come on, right? It's straight. Like, are you kidding me? Who's
Yo,
gonna
I
listen
can't
to
even
that?
lie.
But the sample,
Only after watching that episode, like when you hear the original sample, it sounded nothing like what you did.
that's my point. Yeah,
I was like, what?
that original record is terrible.
Yeah.
It's semitones down.
But that's
Yeah.
the cool part, because I feel like the manipulation Spotify is allowing humans to make, or I'm saying humans, non-musicians to make,
humans.
is simple enough they could do it. But no one could ever take that canon,
But-
like original sample, and chop it up.
Let's go a little deeper now.
Let's get it.
So the Spotify tool
Yeah.
is actually speaking to something else, which is by nature, we are all creative beings. Some of us just have a whole
exactly.
lot more talent than others.
Right. Yep.
Some of us have more knowledge to understand how to get from point A to point B. But
Right.
just on its face as human beings, we
Right.
are all creative beings.
That's real.
Right.
So
We're
that's
designed
what
to
they're
be
appealing
creators.
to. They're appealing to. Think about the first time you ever EQ'd a song with bass, mid, and high.
In
Yeah.
the car, right?
That's being creative. You
Right.
know what you want to hear. You
Yeah,
want to hear
yeah.
more high end. You want to hear more low end. We're all creative beings.
I just think that a lot of artists that are listening to this should look at the roster and listen to what y'all are saying, because I think a lot of people need to swallow the pill that more people that are designed to be creative, because I agree with you, all humans are designed to be creative, are going to be able to start to be creative. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people are like, my friend never spent any time in making music. Why does he get to now make music? But in a weird
It's around
way,
the world too. Like,
Yeah.
man, I've been places where they can't create music
Yeah.
because they don't have the proper tools.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So this is allowing them to get in that space. You know,
Right.
we're still having a hard time in the motherland of Africa. We're still having a hard time in Saudi Arabia getting to the certain tools that help people make music.
Right.
And that's needed, bro, because there's
Right.
a lot of people that's, we find
Yeah.
the talent all the time. I might go down Joseph V. Lowry and found the illest singer walking down the street whistling. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
that, but some people don't got the tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think just like everyone's got an ego, but like the more that you can just fight against that ego and accept that like the lane that you're in does not overlap with anyone else's lane in this life. So like for people that are jealous that other people can now start creating, even though they never spent any hours making music before, like you can either spend your energy being upset about them, or you can just realize that's cool that you're able to create. I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and I'm actually gonna go even harder now.
And here's
knowing
the
there's
thing.
more competition.
Here's the thing. I'll give those people perspective. If somebody's listening to this that thinks, oh, well, now that everybody can do something, it devalues me. Here's the thing. I remember people used to ask me all the time, well, now that everybody has Pro Tools
Yeah.
and everybody can record and mix their record, doesn't that make you obsolete? No, it makes me more valuable.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's
Because
that-
none of y'all can do it like me.
crazy.
Yeah.
So the fact that everybody has the tools only highlights the people who are really good at using the tools.
Right.
So it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, for
Like-
sure, for sure. And I think the people who actually put in the 10,000 hours, when the tools are now democratized enough that like the average person can do what you did because you're 10,000 hours, I think you'll make more money now.
Absolutely.
Because like even just follow this for a second. So everything in life, in business, is about the total addressable market. So with more creators, the total addressable market grows.
Absolutely.
So your opportunity to mentor others that are using the tool or like give advice or like be the only person that can do it, your opportunity grows too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when more people are doing something that doesn't sound as good as the one person that's doing it at a high level, all you're doing is highlighting me.
Yeah.
Like, so when people were like, well, aren't you scared that all these artists can record themselves and they have all the plugins, they can mix themselves? They can't mix like me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a God-given talent.
Right.
You can't mix like me.
Yeah, they'll get 80% there, but we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
It's the last 20% that makes the difference.
Yeah, and you're going to always hear a record that come out banging, that's killing your mix and being like, oh, who mixed that? Okay, I need to go get my joint professionally mixed. Like,
Yeah. First, right.
I got a question.
Let's go,
And it's for
Kenny.
Parker. If you have a co-producer or a dude that sends you loops, right? Loop was fire, you use it. You find out that it was AI generated. And in the AI generated space is still mostly OpenSea, right? Like what is it? Like open source kind of?
Yeah.
So he's taking different copyrights from everything and making a
Yeah,
sample.
well, it depends.
How
You're right.
scared do we get if a claim comes back?
Yeah, because then it's just like, how do you do the business? Because it's like, okay, so it would be 25 normally.
Yeah.
But like you said, what if a copyright comes back? I don't know. What would you do?
Man, I think
protect yourself and be like, look, that come out of your 25.
I think we would have
Like,
to identify each
yeah, you
other
brought
from
that.
it.
Yeah.
But does that slow down the process of like, do we start questioning loop makers like, yo, where'd you get this from?
That's true. Right,
But I'm
right.
telling you, like-
That's true.
Like I was saying earlier, I feel like a lot of these loop makers are already just going on Splice,
Yeah.
taking a guitar sample, pitching it down one semitone, and sending it to me.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah. I think you get real vigilant in the language of the contracts, and you be like, look, out of your 25, if a lawsuit come up behind this loop,
Yes.
that's on your 25.
Yeah.
Don't come over here.
Yeah.
My 25 is good.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's, you got to kind of just be real upfront with people like, look.
I just hear people saying, I sung that.
Yeah.
I sung that part, but it's a sample,
all
bro.
right, yeah.
Where did you get it from? It came from YouTube, but I resung it.
All right.
Yeah.
Bro, it came from YouTube is intellectual property. So
Right.
it's like,
That's
I'm
why
trying
you
to
be
figure
like,
that
all
out.
right,
Like, you know?
attorneys, make
Do
sure
you-
it comes from.
Do you guys ever like use Shazam or anything before you use a loop? Like I saw that the other day. I think it was DJ Payne One
I
was
never
talking
thought about that.
before you actually use a loop on Splice, use Shazam to make
Oh,
sure
to
it's
figure
not
it out.
going to be a copyrighted issue.
Yeah.
And Shazam is
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, there we go.
I love
Right.
I love it.
I use a musicologist for a lot of stuff, just in case. Because
Yeah.
again, there's samples that I've used on samples that sounded like stuff back in the day. Somebody would have inspiration from a certain record and be like, yo, this is actually James Brown. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, Donny Hathaway did it.
Right.
He was inspired by that, so we need to figure out how to claim both or replay it and get out of that space.
Yeah.
So I think that, all that stuff is just,
Yeah.
it's tough like,
It's
when it
iffy.
comes to, what I'm saying?
It's iffy, and I'll say this: like running an AI company, my word of caution to any producer that's going to be using a loop, it's still safer to use Splice than using an AI generated loop if you don't know what the AI company's doing. You know what I mean? Because at least for me, I'm always talk about this. Every line of data in our algorithm, we make sure we pay artists for, we get consent, and we know they own the copyright, so everything can truly be royalty free. But the majority of AI companies don't do that.
Right.
So when they don't, you have to assume everything was trained on copyrighted data. And all AI is doing is pretty much gluing together all the training data to create a brand new version. But all you need is how long of a snippet to be copyrighted to be flagged.
And I think that would develop over time too, as it develops in the entertainment space.
Yeah.
I think that language in just the technical legal language will evolve as well.
Right.
What if I was an artist and sending you 50,000 midis
Yeah.
for your machine?
Yeah.
And
I'd pay you for that.
I got those 50,000 midis from another AI generated thing, and I just gave you 50.
Well,
How do you feel?
for Lemonade, we have a bulletproof contract that's
That's what I'm
if you
saying.
do that, if you're willing to risk that,
That's on
that's
you.
on, yeah.
That's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
that's
how I solve
that's
them
all right.
problems up
If
front.
you're willing to risk it, then all right, we will too. That's how
Absolutely.
serious I take that
But
stuff.
does that
you know?
destroy your brand? Because they're like, oh, they got that from da-da-da-da. Does that destroy your brand, or would you fight for your right to party on that?
Fight for your right to party.
that's just- I'm old
no,
school.
I love it. I'm just
I'm
like,
Beastie Boys
Beastie
out.
Boys.
yeah,
all
no,
day.
I love it. I love it. No, I mean, I guess I can only answer it authentically. And right now, there's only such a few number of producers that I work with that we're on multiple calls together. We probably chopped it up in person, and I know them, I know their character, and they see the bulletproof legal contract, and we've already gone through all the seriousness of what happens if this isn't yours. Yeah. And then the last thing is I don't know, I feel like you would know this better than anyone, but I feel like as a CEO, I need to have a gut of just understanding people, and there's a reason why we don't just accept any producer.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And by the way, I did have a producer once send me some stuff, and it straight up had I think I opened up the pack, and out of the I filtered through 10 MIDI files, and one of them said Unison on it. I was
Yeah.
literally stopped conversations after
But
that.
see, what you just said to me is a microcosm for the mentality, which is no matter how much technology you have, you still got to be able to rely on your gut.
Of course.
You still got to be
That's a
able to
really good point.
understand human beings.
Right.
That stuff doesn't go away. That
Right.
stuff does not go out of the equation.
Yeah, that's the difference between the company that gets humiliated because of legal trouble versus someone that can read people.
Yeah. Still got to trust your gut.
Right. Right.
It's a great discussion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think we went through everything I wanted to get through. Any questions y'all got, for AI, or just turn the grill on?
No, I'm a fan. I'm a huge. I remember ever since it emerged as a popular conversation. Like I said, I've always thought of it a certain way. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even new to me when everybody was like, "Oh my God, AI is gonna take over and the robots," and I was like, "Hey, I've been here. Y'all tripping."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always, I'm the new technology. I want to be on the cutting edge or whatever. So I love it.
Yeah.
Does AI, I'm just producer to producer, does AI bring out things in you that you always want to do or used to do? So when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, I was a rapper, right? I realized,
Oh, what?
I'm not a good rapper. You know what I'm saying? At some point, they'll say, you know what? Why don't I just make a fake voice, write the lyrics for it, make them say it over the beat, and put that out, and make it like a ghost artist.
Yeah.
Is that, would you do something like that?
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people are about to do. I feel like a lot of people probably have that bug, especially producers. You always freestyling when you're making beats.
Facts.
So you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm gonna tap in more to the AI because I might just be like, let me just see what I can
Yeah,
do.
you'd be like,
You know what I'm
AI
saying?
me might be better than.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Try it.
times, I'm asking because it's times that I gave records to people that I thought were outright smashes and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I won't sell it to somebody else.
Right.
Maybe I'll just do it myself and put it out and then,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And then we'll see what's going on.
Right. 'Cause I haven't heard the saying. I mean, you guys let me know. All rappers want to be producers and all producers want to be rappers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy what AI is going to be able to do. Because again, for me, even though I'm a hobbyist musician, I started a rapper, but AI was the reason I was able to make my first beat because I never knew music theory. You know what I mean? So like the learning gap fell a lot. And because it fell a lot, instead of investing 10,000 hours to learn how to do it, I can now do something again that requires a lot more like, human judgment and things like that. But the opposite's also possible. Like producers can now be rappers, which is a kind of interesting concept.
And to the spirit of your question, we've seen that in a sense of there are a lot of artists that emerged as artists because they were writers, and at some point they either weren't being taken seriously or they knew their songs were too good. And it's funny, I have a famous story about Lionel Richie. I met Lionel Richie once, and he told me his intention wasn't to be an artist. He wanted to be a country writer. But as a black man writing country songs, he wasn't really accepted.
Yeah.
And then he put out all those records, and when you think of all the records that he made, Easy Like Sunday Morning, Stuck on You, those are country songs. And he ended up, so we've seen writers that they were writers, and then they became artists. And a lot of it was they got tired of dealing with the artists and struggling with this and struggling, and then they became artists.
Right.
And there are certain songwriters that became artists, and I think we could see a lot more of that if that was an easier, because those writers that became artists, they could sing.
Right.
Or they could rap. And so they transitioned into also being artists.
Right.
But not everybody got that talent. But with AI, you can now explore that
Yeah.
in a way that you couldn't explore it before.
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
me, I would love to sing a record, but I don't like my voice.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I, JD has done many Monica references, and he was never scared of his voice. But me, I was like, man, I could do a mixtape all day. But when they come to like singing a song and giving it to Chris Brown,
Yeah.
it's that creative, like kind of like I'm sensitive about my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow.
But I wanted to give you a question too because I gave him one. Knowing I've seen you mix before and knowing you work, your work process is different. When somebody gives you a session, you work within the session and you color code it, you organize it your way. If they made an AI company, a company made an AI prep session to where you can put in your template to where you just put all the session in there, you walk away, make a smoothie, come back, and it's color coded and everything for you and prepared for you to mix it, almost like an assistant. Would you use that?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I saw him get his credit card out as he was speaking.
He was like, man,
Take my money. Yes, absolutely.
Prep the whole album.
Because
All the
again,
albums.
anything
Like I
that
said,
can be,
$10 million
anything that
ideas
can
on this
add to my experience, that can make my life easier, that can cut down on my mix time, absolutely.
That's what's
Yes,
up.
yes, and yes.
I feel the same way.
Absolutely.
I feel the same way.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. 1,000%.
So y'all owe us a check. Y'all get this idea. For sure.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
those two good ideas.
Yeah, pop those off.
I feel like this is going to be the episode when, like, if anyone's ever afraid of AI, just send them this link.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
we
don't be
got
scared
it.
of AI.
We got
AI
into it.
AI is your best friend. What's funny is if you were to challenge somebody and say, let's break down all the things in your life that are really artificial intelligence and let's remove them from your life, their lives will be pretty difficult.
Oh, 1,000%.
There's
That's a
a
good
lot
angle.
of things that people don't consider that are really artificial intelligence.
Right.
We need it. We're in that space. And whether you like, just like we're talking about that conversation of people who don't like auto-tune, what's going to happen to them,
Yeah.
you can't even avoid it if you wanted to.
Right.
You can't avoid AI.
Yeah.
I brought this up too. I thought about this yesterday.
Okay.
When I said this, and the dude's looking at me like, so they was like, yo, what would you use if it was an AI tool? I was like, man, I got this issue where I go to sleep and I dream of this amazing beat in my head, right? And when I wake up, I can't remember that shit.
All the time.
Bro, what if they made like a cap that you could put on when you go to sleep and you wake up, it's like, I got that fucking beat for you right here.
Facts.
I recorded it in your sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because your brain is still being creative.
Can't see this, but tell me why the guy who runs my social media posted that last night.
Wow.
I was like, that's exactly what Cannon said, word for word. For the visual, it's someone that's in their bed, they had an idea, and they immediately go to their
'Cause your
laptop,
brain
they
is
cook
always
up, and they go
working.
back to bed.
Bro, I cannot remember the beats, bro. They
Yeah.
be so crazy in my head, though. I'd
Yeah.
be like, yo, I can't remember that. When
That would be an interesting concept because I will say, at one point, I built this prototype to try to prevent falling asleep behind the wheel. And there's a lot of biometric data that technically our bodies just give off all the time. And that's why like Apple Watches and things like that are so crazy. But like if you analyze like your EEG waves, maybe like a few other signals, I do wonder how you could influence a DAW based on like certain thinking patterns and things like that.
We could get there, man.
Because
We
if
could
that's
get there.
possible,
I'm waiting
you could
on
hit
that.
record in your sleep.
Yeah, I'm waiting
on
on
the
that. I'm waiting
EEG
on that.
waves.
Yeah, I'm waiting on that.
And then
I'm waiting on it.
instead of import the wave, you import your EEG.
Bro,
and the whole
I
session's
want
way
that
down.
for my regular dreams. There's sometimes I dream something and I'll be like, man, I wish I can get back there. Like one time I
Yeah.
dreamed I was the ruler of Dubai, and I was like, I
I
could
can
never
see it.
get
I can
back to
see
that
it.
dream. I could never, and I'm like, I want
Tap
to get
back
back
in.
there because I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
right
yeah.
at the. You know, I had the hotel and I had the thing and
Burj
I-
Khalifa.
Yeah, I just want to get back to my regular dreams.
I
like-
cannot remember these. This happens so much, bro. And I'd be like, bro, why you can't? I woke up mad too. Like, why is the beat?
Yeah.
I'll wake up and go have to piss in the middle of the night and be like, you
We gonna
forgot
get
the
there.
fucking beat, bro. What the hell's going on?
I think technology gonna get us there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
I think
That's
we're
the
gonna get
reason I keep a keyboard. I keep a small MIDI keyboard in a laptop by the bed between my nightstand and my bed on this side. You know what I mean? Anytime I wake up, I just pull it and be like, yo.
Just hit record.
I've done that a couple times
Yeah.
on some crazy creative shit. Like,
Yeah,
for real.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been around creatives who like always keep a little recorder and they might be just talking to you and they'll be like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Tap
yeah.
off
Like I
and
feel
do a
like
quick
voice
melody.
memos has been
Yeah.
like, probably one of the primary
Yeah.
things for like a lot of vocal
Absolutely.
artists, you know?
I do that.
I think that
my voice is terrible.
technology is gonna get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
I
That's
have-
cool because
I
you
have
still
high
got the
hopes.
creative genius to have the dream.
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like not anyone can just have that dream. So-
Yeah, I have a problem. Like, I really be driving down the street. My old lady will be like, the windshield wipers are moving, and I'll be making beats. I don't even know
Yo,
what I'm
for
doing,
sure.
bro.
Yo.
And then she'll just grab my hand and be like,
Yo,
like, stop.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
every time I'm at the
I'll be like this on the steering wheel
Yeah,
and the
bro.
windshield wipers and stuff.
Hey.
The turn signal.
Yeah, bro. I'm-
Every little thing is something. And
Yeah.
I walk and live it. So even I hear someone like, yo, they sample so-and-so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
They be like,
yeah.
yo, why the fuck you talking about that right now? We eating and having fun.
Yeah.
You talking about some damn samples.
Yeah,
We don't even,
that's when you in
my
that-
partners don't even do music. You
Right,
know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
Like,
right,
bro,
Yeah, that's when you're in that zone.
So I know that
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
had that helmet and they was thinking about everything I was thinking about.
Right.
Yeah,
I
sign
get
me
some
sign me
ideas.
up for the experimental helmet. I need it.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
I need it.